not my dime. The article goes on to say, it should be noted that Africa has seen 24 previous outbreaks of Ebola over the past 3 decades, and none of them bloom to the current level of crisis. So we are in a crisis, where many experts fear that the devastation to the infrastructure and finance of countries like Liberia and Sierra Leone could take decades to repair. As the editors of The Nation pointed out this week, global indifference allowed the virus to expand this time, along with frayed public health system in these impoverished nations. This isn't a natural disaster, international health crusader Paul Farmer told the Washington Post. This is terrorism of poverty. Let me repeat that. This isn't a natural disaster. International health crusader Paul Farmer told the Washington Post. This is terrorism of poverty. And you know, it's the same thing that happened to the gentleman in Dallas while he was able to die. And there were 3 individuals that came from West Africa. They were doctors, and they were getting ZMAP, and they were getting all those other drugs. And this gentleman didn't get any drugs, any medicine, 2 days before he passed away. So here you have International Health Crusader Paul Farmer saying this exactly the same thing, terrorism of poverty. Because you are in poverty, because you are impoverished, because you can't afford ZMAP and those other drugs, you got to die, buddy. And we can't blame President Obama for this. One can't help but to conclude that the world was indifferent to the plight of those nations because they were poor, black, and seen as unimportant to the operations of nations in the West. And here is the kicker, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the kicker. And you know something? Think about it. You know, sometimes you have to ask yourself, is that the same thing happening in our school system at Columbia High School? Where, since we consider the kids of color to be of a certain socioeconomic, that they are seen as unimportant, and they can stay in these levels all the way through high school. They're seen as unimportant to the school. What's more important to the school is how the kids in the upper levels do. I mean, could we make that correlation? That maybe the administration of the South Orange Millport School District is indifferent to the plights of these kids of color because of their socioeconomic status, and they're seen as unimportant to Columbia High School. Whereas that in a short space of time, you can sit with a family or you can sit with parents to discuss a dress code. A dress code. But you can't sit with parents to discuss segregation in the school system. You have to ask the questions. You have to ask the questions. And when you ask those questions, people say, oh, wow, why are you getting into that? This is our school district. I have a passion for education. I'm passionate about education. Now, here is the final paragraph. As proof, just consider how the U.S. reacted when one person with the disease stepped onto American soil and exposed to others before the disease was detected. Thomas Eric Duncan of Liberia died this week in a Dallas hospital, but he demonstrated to anyone who cared to notice how much more interested Americans became in Ebola when there was the possibility that the few of us might contract the disease, while more than 3,700 and counting have died in West Africa. I want to repeat that. And I said, America is a wonderful place, a beautiful place. But there just seems to one thing that's going on. And you know what? I want to play. I want to play this thing, because this is really great. This is really great. I mean, some people are going to enjoy this. Let me repeat this. As proof, just consider how the U.S. reacted when one person with the disease stepped onto American soil and was exposed to others before the disease was detected. Right? Think about it now. We don't want to spend $1 billion to control the disease, at least, contain the disease and try to prevent more people in West Africa from dying. And if they do come out of West Africa, at least they don't have the disease that can transport it to the United States of America or anywhere else around the world. Thomas Eric Duncan of Liberia died this week in a Dallas hospital. But he demonstrated to anyone who cared to notice how much more interested Americans became in Ebola when there was the possibility that a few of us might contract the disease, while more than 3,700 and counting have died in West Africa. Now think about this. You remember the Republicans who don't want to pass the bill for the $1 billion? You see, it is sad, ladies and gentlemen. It is sad, really sad, because sometimes as a politician, you think politics a little too much sometimes. But Ebola may have to hit home for some politician in order for them to understand the importance of what's going on in South and West Africa. They say sometimes unless it hit home, you don't want to deal with it. Sometimes you got to walk a mile in a man's shoes to understand what he's going through. So all these politicians who are saying that, don't give him no $1 billion. Don't give it to him. Just ban them from coming to the United States of America. Keep them out of America. We don't care. Just keep them out. Any one of them come to Kennedy Airport? No. JFK? LaGuardia? No. Dallas? No. Across the country? No. Don't let them come in. But let me ask a question. Don't they have private jets coming to America? I'm sure there is quite a few rich Liberians. I'm sure there's quite a few rich guys from Sierra Leone. I'm sure about that. I'm sure there's a few rich guys from Senegal. And there's a whole lot of rich guys in Nigeria. A whole lot of them. So just ban them from coming into America. And that's how we're going to stop it. We're going to take care of the Ebola, man. We're not going to allow you to come into America. You're not going to come to America, my friend. If you are from Liberia, or you come with a Liberia, if you come with a Liberia passport or a Sierra Leone passport, right, you're not getting in. You're not getting in, man. Forget about it. It's over. Right? How about this? So, we're going to put Liberia Sierra Leone, Guinea, Nigeria, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo on the ban list. You guys can't come into the United States of America because you guys are the Ebola guys. We don't want no Ebolas over here. You guys stay in West Africa. Okay, good. You know what? Since you don't want to come in from any one of these 5 countries, Senegal, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Nigeria, I'm going to go to Ghana and get a passport. All right? You see? I'm going to go to Ghana. I'm going to get a Ghana passport. I'm from Liberia, or I'm from Sierra Leone. I'm from Sierra Leone, where we had 1,816 cases of Ebola, or I'm from Liberia, where we had 914 cases of Ebola. Or I'm from Guinea, where we had 876 cases of Ebola. Or from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, we only had 68 cases and 19 cases in Nigeria. But you know what I'm going to do? Since America and the Republicans, you are so intelligent that you want to ban us from coming to the United States of America, this is what I'm going to do. Okay. I got the money. I'm going to go to Ghana. I'm going to get a Ghana passport. Right? You ain't banning nobody from Ghana. I bring my whole family. We all buy a Ghana passport. It happens all the time. People can buy passports all the time. You know that. We know that. So I'm going to buy a Ghana passport. And I'm going to come to the United States of America. Now, are they going to stop Ghanaians from coming in? No. You're not on the ban list. Think about it. I'm going to go to the Ivory Coast. I'm going to buy a passport. I'm going to come in. Next thing you hear, oh my God, the family was eventually actually from Sierra Leone. Or they were from Liberia. They bought a passport. And they're living in wherever. So, why take these chances? Why? Because the more it spreads in West Africa, the worse it's going to be. Because you know for a fact, think about it. If it gets really bad in Sierra Leone as far as the Ebola is concerned, you know what they're going to do? They're going to pick up and they're going to go elsewhere. They don't want to stay in Sierra Leone and die. They don't want to stay in Liberia and die. Yeah, they're poor, but they're going to go some other place. So if some of them got the virus, they're just traveling with the virus to wherever else they're going to go, and they're going to infect those people as well. Right? So if they travel from wherever it is, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea, Nigeria, to Ghana, Somalia, wherever, right? Since we decide that we don't want to help them, they can't help themselves. They can't help themselves because they're the poorest of the poor. And all they're trying to do is survive. Me and all I'm trying to do is to survive. That's it. Survival of the fittest. And I'm going to do whatever I have to do to survive. It's just like the immigrants coming from Guatemala or Mexico. Listen, if you got to travel 100 miles in the forest where you can be bitten by lions, bears, tigers, snake, whatever it is, you're going to try it because you're trying to get a better life. You're going to do whatever it's necessary, whatever you have to do. But we got the Republicans thinking that we're going to make the president look bad. We're going to make the president look bad. Look, the CDC director Thomas Frieden said, speed is the most important variable here. This is controllable.